Okay, so shalom. Let's start the halachot of the 3 weeks.
Should we just say
לרפואה שלמה of
Adina Bat Aviva?
Adina bat Aviva. Aviva. No, I think it's Adina bat Aviva Negar,
She has my.
right? Adina bat Aviva Negar.
Are they from the community?
What?
Just wondering if they're from the community.
Alright, רפואה שלמה בתוך שער כל עולם ישראל. Alright, so here we are again, unfortunately, before the during the days of Ben Hametzarim, the 3 weeks. It's already 1,948 years that the Beit HaMikdash has been destroyed, and it was a very interesting. I don't know if anyone saw. There's on the Yachad chat they put it up. Rabbi Beryl Weisbord spoke for us today. It was an amazing speech, where he said Hashem, Shalom, Shalom. So Hashem wants to have Yomim Tovim for us every month, and unfortunately, sometimes because of our own Chataim, like Chata Eged, we don't have that ability. So we have a Ta'anit, we have Yomei Ben Hametzarim, these sort of things happen, and this is how we're still connected to Hashem, by coming to and realizing that it's our own Chataim, unfortunately, that caused it. And as we know, the Gemara says that on Shiva Asar Tammuz, the first of the things that happened was the Luchot that broke, right? And then we have the wall that was breached in Yerushalayim, and they put Tselem in the Hechal, and they burnt the Sefer Torah. All these things that happened, each one shows another level of how we got disconnected from Hashem. And these days continue for 21 days until Tisha B'Av, where again 5 major tragedies happen, like the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash, second Beit HaMikdash, and the list really goes on. So it's all based on a pasuk. Why do we call him Ben Hametzarim? Why do we call him Ben Hametzarim? Metzar is border, So it says pasuk in the beginning of Eicha, that it says that Hisiguha Ben Hametzarim, that the enemy was able to catch up to them, Ben Hametzarim, between the borders, between the edges, basically, and they say it's alluding to these 3 weeks. These 3 weeks, therefore, in Halacha, many times you're going to find they're called Ben Hametzarim, the 21 days. By the way, there is in the Navi, when you read for the breach of the wall of Yerushalayim, it says it was on the 9th day of Tammuz, not the 17th day of Tammuz. So they say it was a ta'ud, it was a mistake, because it was during the destruction. They were so messed up, and they made a mistake. And the Navi wrote it. Hashem allowed them to write the 9th. That's one of the things that they say. Others say no, it was actually broken into in the 9th day of Tammuz. What we cry about is the second Beit HaMikdash, because the first Beit HaMikdash, it was rebuilt after. What we're crying about now is the second Beit HaMikdash, really, and that's what we're going after. So anyway, there is a lot of back and forth in the poskim, in the mafarshim about this. But either way, this is what we have, and that's what we're dealing with. Let me just make one thing clear. There is a lot of different customs. There's a lot of different halachot that you hear and we hear about. You always have to look and see what the Gemara says. The Gemara Masechet Ta'anit, there's certain things that are min hadin. That means that's the halacha, right? Eating meat is only asur for seudah mafseket. That's a seudah that you eat before going into the fast, right? That's when it's asur to eat meat and drink wine. That's from the Gemara. Now, nahagu, there's customs that they started. There are some that have a custom that they don't eat meat all the 3 weeks. We don't do that. We don't have that minhag, and a person shouldn't do that. Even Talmidei Chachamim, Rabbi Ovadia says shouldn't do it, right? So just I want to make sure that there are certain things that are asur, like it says in the Gemara that it's asur to do laundry the week of Tisha B'Av, or to wash up during the week of Tisha B'Av. That is mentioned in the Gemara. So we have to see what is in the Gemara, what is that, therefore that is the halacha min hadin halachically, and we have to see what is the minhag. Not to say chas v'shalom if there is a minhag and a person says, it's a minhag, who cares? It says Koretz gader yishachenu nachash chas v'shalom. There's a gader, there is a fence that our chachamim put up, and it's dangerous to just say, no big deal. But still, it makes a few different differences. So now, what do we do during the 3 weeks? What shouldn't we do? First of all, it says, this is Gemara Masechet Pesachim. It says that a person should not walk between the hours of the 4th hour of the day and the end of the 9th hour of the day. So 4th hour, that means around 10 o'clock-ish, right? Let's say the day begins at 6, so around 10 o'clock, until the 9th hour, which make it around 2:30. A person should not walk alone between shade and the sun, and mainly where there are no other people. There's a danger, there is a certain element that could hurt a person, and a person should not go and walk alone during those times outside, during this time of the year, these 3 weeks. Okay?
All 3 weeks.
During these 3 weeks, and during these times, a person shouldn't walk out. If you're with others, that's fine. That means within the city, there's people all over, so that's fine. If you're outside the city, somewhere just feel like taking a walk outside where there's no people, don't do it during that time. Do it either earlier or later. Maybe they were afraid we're going to get sunburned. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But really, that's what it says. But if there are other people together and so on and so forth, it's fine. It's mainly really outside the city. Also, it says that during that time, these 3 weeks, a person should not hit their children. Teachers shouldn't hit their children, or parents shouldn't hit their children. If you're so inclined. Usually, we should try not to. But during this time, it's even worse. It says, I think, if I remember correctly, it's in the Gemara that Rav Avahu, one of the Chachamim, saw a Rebbe raise a stick to hit the child, and then he was able to see that there is something behind him with a metal rod right behind him, and wants to hit him. He says, "What are you trying to do? Kill your child? Don't do it." It was during these times.
Behind the sun or behind the father?
Behind the sun. That means he would make, probably alluding that he just wanted to, he would make that strike heavier. So look, although we try not to strike the children, we try to have a conversation with them, especially in the 21st century. It's they could get put in jail for this, but sometimes hey, it happens, and a person has to be extra careful during these times. This is brought down in the Shulchan Aruch. It's not something that psychologists are telling us. Anyway, so that's an important thing to remember during these times that we are in. These 3 weeks we have to remember they're harsh times. They are harsh. Many people, is customary between Sephardim, Ashkenazim, many people, besides saying Tikkun Chatzot at night, after midnight, which is 1 o'clock, they say Tikkun Chatzot every day in the afternoon as well. Not on Fridays, of course. Not on Erev Rosh Chodesh. That's next Thursday, Erev Rosh Chodesh. No. But every other day, they do say it. And it's not much, just a few. It means Mizmorim of Tehillim, a portion of Sefer Echa, and a portion from Sefer Yeshaya. That's it. Only Tikkun Rachel, not even Tikkun La'a. And ladies also could say it. Why not? It's great. If hard for you to sit on the floor, you could sit on a chair and say it. It's just, every siddur has it. It's a great thing to say, and it's also a tikkun. Like the name implies, it's a tikkun. If a person could do it, it's not going to get in the way of taking care of the children or the house or yourself or whatever it is. The person has 3-4 minutes, literally 3-4 minutes to say it. That's it.
This is like Gemara?
No. This is just a custom. This is
What's the exact time again?
Kabbalistic. Anytime it starts around a half hour after Chatzot. Let's say 1 o'clock is Chatzot, like around 1:30. There's a question until when you have time. Rabbi Badi says you have time until sunset. That means around 5 minutes to 8. So all it takes is just open the siddur and say. If a person could do it really, it does a lot. Let me just tell you, Tikkun Chatzot, Rabbi Zechron Libracha used to say that if a person wants to say Selichot in the morning, he says, oh, I have to get up earlier in the morning, right? He says the level of Tikkun Chatzot is higher than saying Selichot. If you're not going to go to Selichot because you said Tikkun Chatzot last night and you slept late, he says, so be it. That's how important it is. Tikkun Chatzot does a lot. You sit down on the floor and you cry about the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the death of the Tzaddikim. Wow, it really is a big deal. All right. So this is also part of the 3 weeks. Like, it says that in Tunisia, they used to get together in the shuls. The whole city, they would close their stores. Store owners, they would close their stores. Everyone would gather in the shul, and they would all sit on the floor and they would chant and cry about the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. They would do it in Europe. They would do it in many places. So I don't know. Somehow we haven't heard about it, but it is something that they had done. Now, what else don't we do in the 3 weeks? The custom is that we don't eat a new fruit, or we don't wear a new clothing, which we should say Shehechianu for during these 3 weeks. Why? Because what are you saying? You're saying Shehechianu, V'kiyamanu, V'hiyanu, Lazman Hazeh. Thank you, Hashem. You kept me alive, and you established me. You kept me up, and you brought me to these days. These days are not good days, so we try to avoid saying Shehechianu, right? Now, on the other hand, you have to know, if there is a case that we could say Shehechianu, it's a problem. The person doesn't say Shehechianu. You had a chance to praise Hashem, and you didn't, so we have to be juggling between these two. What should we do? A person should avoid it, really. If you could do it, if this, let's say this fruit is still going to be around after Tisha B'Av, good. Hazrat Hashem, you keep it until then. Otherwise, now, here comes, according to the Kubalim, you cannot say Shehechianu even on Shabbat. Rabbi says you could. On Shabbat, you can show signs of mourning and sa'ar and avelut. So therefore, if need be, then on Shabbat you could go ahead and make a Shehechianu on the fruit and eat it. These days we are having anyway trouble with fruit. I mean, what fruit do you make a Shehechianu on? This is a good question. Because Baruch Hashem, we live in a generation where you could find many fruits all year round. So I don't know. Clothing, though, it's better to be machmir. For clothing, it's better to be machmir, and a person should not wear new clothing during these 3 weeks. For a little kid, like 3-4-year-old kid that wouldn't understand these things, it's totally mutar. You want to put something new on the child, that's fine. If a person there's a Beit Milah, the father of the child has to say Shehechianu. Of course, this is a Shehechianu. You can't say, oh, sorry, 3 weeks, let's erase that part. Or there's a Pidyon HaBen, Baruch Hashem, that's being done on time. These things, of course, you make a Shehechianu because it's a mitzvah at its proper time, and therefore a person should not miss out on this baracha. Ashkenazim do not get married during these 3 weeks. Sephardim could get married up till Rosh Chodesh Av, but they don't do it. They just, they just don't do it. People are afraid, they don't do it. Now, what else is asur? Dancing. Even if there's no music, just dancing. Together and just want to dance. That's asur, right? Without even a musical instrument, right? Just want to get together and dance. That is asur. Also, besides that, listening to music, right, is asur during this time. Question always comes up, like, I listen to music for my workout, without it I can't work out, or or let's say, so that's fine, because you're not listening to enjoy the music. The music, what it does is pushes you to be able to do it. That's fine. In summer camps, they always have this trouble. It's going to be dead if they don't have music for the kids. They're allowed to. Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky says, Rav Ovadia quotes him also, that he says they're allowed to do it. Just stam singing, it's fine. The singing, and especially on Shabbat. It says in Sefrei Hasidim that on Shabbat they have to be extra, extra, extra careful to sing more in these 3 weeks, because that's missing. That is missing, and therefore it's a good thing to even sing extra. Someone with Parnasah is to teach music lessons. By Goyim, of course, he's teaching Goyim or little kids. He could continue doing so until the week of Tisha B'Av. But yes,
What about taking music lessons?
for little kids, for kids it's allowed. Kids that wouldn't understand the thing, the idea of the destruction of the Beit Hamikdash, and we have to mourn. That's fine. But if they're a little older, it's better not to do it. You know, when they will be able to understand, it's better not to do it. So for both of them, like we're talking about that they would be allowed to. If a person doesn't have money, he needs the money and needs to teach, he could go ahead and teach until Shavua Shechal B'Tisha B'Av. However, it is better for him to be machmir from Rosh Chodesh. Ashkenazim do not get a haircut or shave during these 3 weeks. For Sephardim, it's only during that week. There was a question that was asked: could ladies fix their eyebrow, dye their hair? Doesn't even start because that's only the week off, and this year we don't have the week off. We're going to get to that. So therefore, it's mutar. Now, that's as far as the laws of the 3 weeks. Once Rosh Chodesh begins, the Gemara Masechet Ta'anit says, "Mishe nichnas av mema'atim besimcha." Right? That means from the time the father comes in, it's you diminish your simcha. That was a joke. Mishe nichnas av, the month of Av, comes in. So mema'atim besimcha. There is no. We try to diminish from the simcha and joy. There, the Gemara gives us examples. It says the person wants to make his special room for his son that's getting married. Those days they had a house, and whichever one of the children would get married, they would just add a room to their house. Another room. Baruch Hashem. It's like, so it says you want to add that room, you can't do it after Rosh Chodesh Av. That's Simcha. And also, what else? Buying things for the Chatunah, for the wedding. After Rosh Chodesh Av, we try not to do. Right? You want to buy. Let's say a person wants to buy something for his fiancée, like a article of jewelry. Not to do it during after Rosh Chodesh Av. Also, it says right there in the Gemara. Therefore, if a person has a court date, with a goy, shouldn't do it during the starting the month of Av. It says until when. So some say after Tisha B'Av it's fine. Some say no, until the 15th. Some say the whole month of Av. So
which is
pick and choose. I think the consensus of most poskim is they go until the 15th. Until the 15th. Once the 15th comes, that already breaks the thing of the month of Av. Question here.
So the addition to the house, does that also include like decorations? And
That's only for Simcha,
improvements?
remember. For Simcha. Improvements, like he just wants to paint the room and everything, we try not to. During this time, we try not to do it.
When you're confined to I just realized that I'm changing my wood floors on Monday.
This Monday
This
is
Monday is
fine. It's
okay.
before Rosh Chodesh. We're talking about after Rosh Chodesh. Right now, we're talking about after Rosh Chodesh. After Rosh Chodesh, this year, that means the last week.
When
Last
is
week
that?
before.
How much longer is that?
We have the whole next week.
Okay.
You have the whole next week. So that's fine. Up to then, it's fine.
But it has to be finished before the end of next week.
Once they started, we're not going to tell them to stop. Once they started Beheter, it was mutar for them to start. And what are you going to do? Walk around the shaved
No,
floors?
let's say he did one room but not the other rooms.
Oh,
Because he was very slow.
then I would. It's a good question. Ask your local rabbi. I don't know. It's a good question. If it's going to be a monetary loss, then for sure we say it's mutar. If it's something that's going to be a loss, is mutar. But stam, the person wants to paint their house. They want to make their house look more beautiful. That is definitely a person should push it off. Right? A person should definitely push it off. A lot of the things that we're talking about is simcha. A person should not have the simcha. This brings joy and happiness. If a person is confined, they don't have enough room. Mashallah, they have a few kids, and they want to move to a bigger house or to build another room. That's fine, because that's for revacha. That's not for revacha. That's for living. That's for being able to live. Or if they want to paint the Beit Knesset. That's allowed. That's not for thing. That's for the kavod of the mitzvah. It's fine. Person wants to buy a car. Can they buy a car after Rosh Chodesh? If they need it for business or it's not for fun. They need to get around. They need to take care of things. That's fine. But if it's just they just want to for pleasure. They had a different car which was fine. They want to buy a fancier car. Now we say push it off, unless they got a very good price of a lease or whatever it is, and you won't be able to find that after Tisha B'Av. Then they could go for it. Can one move to a new apartment during this time? Again, like we said, if he's not doing it for pleasure, he's not doing it, for the luxury. That's fine. But if it's a thing, and they could even do Chanukah Habayit. They could even do Chanukah Habayit. People could gather in the house, learn, do the learning and everything. No party, but just the learning part is perfectly fine. What else don't we do during the 9 days? Travel. Travel we try during these 3 weeks overall. We try not to. If one can avoid it, that would be good, because as we said, it's not such a good time. But if a person has to do it, has to do it. We try to push it to different times, but if a person has to do it, got to do it. Eating meat, right? So this year again, Sephardim, we eat meat during on Rosh Chodesh Av. Ashkenazim don't. They don't eat meat on Rosh Chodesh. So that means next Friday they wouldn't eat meat. But we could eat meats just only starting Sunday, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbat we could, and then Sunday is Tisha B'Av. Done, right? So you gotta come up with your recipes. But there are some that have a custom also not to drink wine during this time. For sure, for Havdalah, Moshe Shabbat, it's definitely, certainly not a problem. Ashkenazim, they don't. Shulchan Aruch writes that we do drink the wine for Havdalah. Rama says that in our regions, our custom is that we do not drink, and what they do is I think they give it to a kid or something. I don't remember what they do. But for us, wine, a lot of places they don't even have the custom not to drink wine during this time. So it's a whole. It all depends on the custom. A lot of who drinks wine? They drink alcohol, who drinks wine? But anyway, but the meat, the Isur extends. There are some communities that do eat, like in Egypt, they had a custom to eat chicken. They just don't have a custom to eat beef, because beef was what they would bring as a korban in the Beit HaMikdash and so on and so forth, and it gives a lot of joy and happiness. That's why they don't eat. But chicken they would. But I think most people, the custom is that they do not eat birds or four-feeded animals.
So that's from Rosh Chodesh?
That's the day after Rosh Chodesh, which this year happens to be the day after Rosh Chodesh Shabbat, so it's starting Sunday. Sunday after. We don't eat meat. Right?
So that's just wine, not any other alcohol, right?
Correct.
And then also, so this year, because we're pushing off to Shabbat, when we say Havdalah after Shabbat,
we don't.
There's no Havdalah until
we'll get to it.
Shabbat.
Right. You only say Borem or Ha'esh, and then when you want to eat, whenever it is, someone needs to break their fast, they have to make Havdalah. Right? They have to make Havdalah and then eat.
So
or
we're gonna
after Tisha B'Av.
We're not going to make Havdalah after Tisha B'Av.
After Tisha B'Av, on Sunday night, you make Havdalah and you eat. There's no Besamim. However, trust me, we learned about the 100 Barachot the past few weeks in the Halachot of Shabbat. So you got to make up the 100 Barachot by smelling things. Walk outside of the house, come back in. You got to get to the 100 Barachot. You got to fill up the chart. Now,
You're allowed to smell on Tisha B'Av?
yes, you are allowed to smell. Even on Yom Kippur, you're allowed to smell. You forget it. But just we don't do the besamim on Motzei Shabbat because we're not.
Is that an Ashkenazi thing? They're not allowed to smell to Shabbat? Smell good things like cinnamon?
Could be possible, but we're gonna miss out on the 100 barachot. Now, what about if a person cooked meat in a pot or whatever, a tray or something, and now he wants to use it during the 9 days to cook something, to make fish. Can one do it? Yes. The Isur is just to eat meat, something that was, even if the Kedera was Ben Yomoy, they had cholent in it yesterday for Shabbat. They want to make some fish thing now. It's clean, don't worry, don't wash it. There's no cholent. So that would be fine.
So fish is allowed after Rosh Chodesh?
Fish is allowed, yes. Fish is definitely allowed after Rosh Chodesh. Some want to say that you could leftover food from Shabbat, if one wants to eat it after Shabbat, they could do it.
Isn't it only if they're used to eating it anyways on Motzei Shabbat?
I'm not on Motzei Shabbat. Let's say on Sunday. You want to, some want to be mati for yeah. So
How far after can you do that?
how far? How far does it stay? It's hot. It doesn't.
For the
I don't
kids,
know.
it's okay?
I don't know. It's a what?
For the
kids,
kids?
it's fine. The leftover food for the kids is fine.
No, but meat. You shouldn't give the
The
kids
leftover
meat.
meat. Oh, kids! If they're kids, Rabbi, you're right. Kids these days are so weak, and when they're younger, you could give them meat, no problem.
How young is young?
Yeah, under bat mitzvah, bar mitzvah.
Kids, it says afilu higiu lechinuch, even if they reach 6, 7 years old, He was very, very, very adamant about this. With kids, he said you have to be really careful with them. So be careful. Now, on Friday, it's a mitzvah to taste the food that you're going to eat, that you made for Shabbat. What are you going to do in 2 Fridays? It's during the 9 days, and obviously you made meat, which you cannot eat on Friday. Can you taste the food for Shabbat? The answer is, there's a big machloket, by the way. Some say no way, some say you could taste it and spit it out, but I'm serious, there's a lot of back and forth. The Rabbi says that one could go ahead and taste it. Obviously, don't eat a whole plate, just a little bit to make sure the food is good, that's it. And that's fine. If a person made a mistake, he forgot that it's the 9 days. He opens the fridge and he sees a nice piece of brisket sitting in the fridge right in front of his face. And he says, yum! And he reaches for it and makes a baracha. Sha'akol niya bidvaro. What should you do? Obviously, you have a minhag not to eat meat. And you have a issue from the Torah of Shem Shamayim Levatala. Eat the little piece and that's it. You're not eating it for pleasure. You're eating it so that it won't be a baracha levatala. And that is fine. He's not doing it to have fun.
Can you eat something else, shahakol, or it has to be what you had intended to eat?
Ooh, that would be very quick. Good question. Good question. If there's something right there, I don't see why not. Take that and that would.
But you had in mind for the meat that you're holding.
Yes, even so. There's a Gemara talks about that. That's fine. Yes.
If you taste food, are you considered fleshing? If it's just like a sip.
Halacha brings down that if a person chews the food for his baby, right, for their baby, that means it's meat. It's very hard to chews them, and then he wants to give it to the baby to eat. They didn't have food processors those days, so then it's a problem. But if he just tasted a little bit of it, then he's not considered meat. He could go ahead and it's fine.
But if you're tasting let's say stew,
Right.
Korish or whatever that has meat chunks in it, and you're just tasting. I always wonder this, but I don't like to be fleshing for nothing on Friday morning.
So that was the question.
Right. So, but
He says no.
no, but you said
You're not fleshing.
You're not fleshing. If you just taste it, you're not fleshing.
Well, then you spit it. Oh, you're saying you should spit it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, don't eat it.
Okay.
Right. There's 2 issues with this. I don't want to go into basar v'chalav, but the Torah Isur is when the meat and the milk is cooked together. When the meat and the milk is not cooked together, we have a custom that we wait 6 hours between meat. It's a custom that we wait 6 hours between meat and milk, right? So here, what's the reason why 6 hours? Because there might be some stuck between your teeth, right? Or whatever, it's in your stomach. Here is neither of those. There's nothing stuck in your teeth, and there's nothing in your stomach. You're just tasting done. So what makes you fleshing?
Maybe you have a ta'am in your mouth, so you could have like a cup of milk after easily like that, or?
Or just watch.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're talking about spitting it out.
Yeah, spit it out. Of course, you're not eating. You're not swallowing it. You just want to taste it to see if it's okay, right? You spit it out, and then you could have it.
Tasting in my mind
I know,
means
it sounds-
swallowing.
Oh, really? No. Tasting over here in this case, we're not
Yeah,
talking
that's
about
why I
swallow.
was confused. So,
No, sorry.
But let's say the juice part of it, you're allowed to swallow. The
No,
meat part
even the
is-
juice. You just
everything
taste
you
it,
swallow?
and spit it out. Okay?
Hard to know what you're.
Like your kids taste something and they don't like it.
You'll know.
Yeah. They won't
Yeah.
swallow it.
Okay. So sorry. We gotta. I gotta rush a little bit. Now. Good. Can one? This halakha, I don't think it applies to these 21st century, but we'll say it anyway. To sew new clothing. Like, who does that these days? No one does that. But if one wants to do it, it's asur. Okay. Fixing, mending, that's fine. I don't even think anyone does that.
Yeah.
Like, a button that
Taji.
fell.
On the to-do list.
Taji.
Oh yeah,
We
okay.
always
What if
have
you
that.
want to sew
Hey,
a
right.
dress for a wedding?
Yeah.
That you can't do.
So
Can you
can
have
someone
Yeah.
else
else
work
do it?
on her wedding dress during those during the 90s?
During the 9 days, no.
Wow.
So
even
she's-
if it's a
Unless she's getting married right after
Right,
Tisha
but she's getting
B'Av,
married like a day
then
after.
it's a davar ha'aved, then it's a loss, of course. But chacham einav b'rosho, you got to think about it before and have it ready.
This is only for the 9 days, the sewing?
9 days, correct. After Rosh Chodesh. This is all after Rosh Chodesh. Sewing a button back on, these sort of things. Put a patch on the kids' pants, these sort of things. That's fine. That's all fine. Now, getting a haircut. Getting a haircut is asur during the week of Tisha B'Av. That means Tisha B'Av happens to be on Tuesday or on Thursday, or on Sunday. So you cannot get a haircut on Sunday, on Tisha B'Av itself, that's for sure. But if it's on later on, it could either be on Sunday, Tuesday, or Thursday. So if it's in those other days, so the days prior to Tisha B'Av would be asur for getting a haircut, shaving, right? And some, they should know, many, even Sephardim, are machmir not to get a shave or a haircut after Rosh Chodesh, right? So it's different customs, different places. Cutting nails. Oh my gosh, all the poskim go out of town with this. Cutting nails are very makbid. Never allow your nails to grow. If you do, not good. So it says even erev Tisha B'Av, the person could cut their nails. Right? Even erev Tisha B'Av, a person could cut their nails, and they go on and on how terrible it is. Chas v'sholom, that a person should let their nails grow. Doing laundry, right? Doing laundry, that, as we said, the Gemara Masechet Tanit says already that it's asur to do laundry on the week of Tisha B'Av. Ashkenazim, they don't do laundry starting Rosh Chodesh. Starting Rosh Chodesh, they don't do laundry, and they don't wear washed, laundered clothes. We only don't do it during the week of Tisha B'Av, that we don't do laundry and we do not wear washed clothes. Undergarments, they're used to absorb the sweat and everything. Those aren't considered washed or not washed. They're just hygiene. So really, this halakha doesn't apply to those things. So if a person forgot, so what do we do? What should we do as a result? What are you going to do? Wear the same shirt for a couple of days? No, we could go ahead and wear it for like half hour before, the week before, and you set it aside. Set aside like whatever, as many as you need, or the kids need, or whatever, whoever, and then they change it the next week, the week of Tisha B'Av. It doesn't apply really this year. I'm just saying the halakha, so we should know the halakha. This year, the only time that we have to be careful is Sunday, right? Tisha B'Av, although it's hot and sometimes you need to change and everything, so a person should see what to do. If a person forgot to prepare, so poskim bring down that you could throw it on the floor. You don't have to even step on it.
No.
Just as long as you throw it on the floor, you're good.
For how long?
Just drop it and pick it up.
Floor of your house?
What?
Or floor
Yeah.
of outside?
Yeah, no, floor of the house.
Throw it off your
That
balcony.
already takes away that
Freshness.
fresh, nice washed clothing thing, and that's it. Especially if we're talking about undergarments and everything, it's so much easier. Like you forgot, mashallah, the kids, you wanted to change their clothing, their undergarments, like and everything. So the person forgets, to prepare all of that before. Some families make a project out of it. Why not? So the Ben Ish Chai says if a person forgot and it's Shabbat, so he could go ahead Friday night, wear it to go to sleep, and then in the morning put it aside, wear another thing, just switch during different action period times. So then you have enough for Baruch Hashem. This year is only one day, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, the issur of doing laundry is also you can't tell a goy to do your laundry, even if you're not gonna wear it. You're not gonna wear it. You still can't tell a goy to do it because it gives you a good feeling. Look at this nice, crisp laundered clothes I have. That gives them korat ruach, it says, and that it shouldn't do. So there's a few things. You can't wash clothing, even if you're not gonna wear it, and you cannot wear clothing that were washed. Both of them is asur, right? How about shower? It is asur to take a bath during the week of Tisha B'Av. By the way, this that we said that this year there is no week of Tisha B'Av is a machloket. Some say there is, and some say there isn't. We go like the opinion that says there isn't, but just we should know. There are some, and if a person could be machmir a little bit, why not? It's a Beit HaMikdash that we are crying for, and then some. Now, this washing, right, is only asur on Tisha B'Av, but it was extended for the week of Tisha B'Av, that a person should not take a leisurely bath or a shower. But if a person is dirty, right, sweated up, he could jump in the shower, not a very hot shower, it could be lukewarm, and quickly wash himself off and get out. But in the same token, being that cold water is allowed, the person could go swimming during the week off. Ashkenazim, starting Rosh Chodesh Av, they don't go swimming, right? They don't go swimming. They don't, showering. All these halachot apply. But for us, swimming, or what it says, is fine. The person wants to go to a swimming pool and swim, as long as he's not doing it for fun. He's just doing it for the exercise or for the cleanliness or whatever it is. That is okay. Any questions on this so far? We're good.
Wait, so the shower, you said with lukewarm.
Shower this year you don't have an issue anyway.
Okay, in general.
In general, lukewarm shower, quick shower, is fine.
You don't have to do parts of your different.
No, not Yom Tov. We're not talking about that. It's Tisha B'Av. It's the week off, and you just jump in, wash, and get out.
And bath now, kids can't take a bath either.
Kids is fine. Remember, for kids they don't understand what's going on, and yeah.
What about mikveh?
For men,
No,
Men.
prep for mikveh.
everything as normal. Everything as.
Laundry
That's
for kids is not allowed either.
what.
Laundry for children is not allowed.
Okay, very good question. Thank you. Children, that's something else. You're not doing it for fun. This is, that's fine. If there's nothing, everything is dirty, one could do laundry for young children. That's fine. Forgot to mention. Thank you for bringing it up. Good. Let's move to Erev Tisha B'Av, where this year Erev Tisha B'Av. Okay, so normally Erev Tisha B'Av, Seudah Mafseket, you want to eat, you have to sit on the floor. And you cannot have zimun, you cannot eat with other people, and you sit, a person, the last Seudah that he wants to eat, sits on the floor, and he's crying, and he's sad, and he eats a piece of bread with the egg, and that's it. This year, Seudah Mafseket, you kidding me? If you always eat meat on Seudah Shelishit, you could even eat meat here, right, on Seudah Shelishit, if you always eat meat. But if a person doesn't always eat meat, who eats meat Seudah Shelishit? Not many people that I know. So then we can't this year either. However, a person, there's a lot of halachot, so the mafseket, you can't eat two different cooked foods, and so many different restrictions. This year, none of those restrictions apply. A person could eat as much as they want, right? However, you have to stop a few minutes before Shekiah. Shekiah is going to be probably, I'm assuming, 7:50 something, or 7:48, something like that. You have to check. So a couple of minutes before that, let's say 7:40, got to stop. That means you got to start with the shirishit even earlier, so that you have enough time to eat and drink, to make sure. Couple of days before, please, couple of days before Tisha B'Av, drink more liquids than we need, so that the body will be saturated, and it won't bother us come Tisha B'Av. So a person shouldn't just remember right before Tisha B'Av, oh no, tomorrow is a fast, let me drink. It drinks a whole gallon, doesn't do anything. Right? This is just doesn't help. So we have to think ahead and do this. So this year, being that it's on Shabbat, one could go ahead and eat different types of cooked food and all these things, and it's perfectly fine. That's it.
What about brushing your teeth?
Brushing your teeth. So as we discussed before, if a person knows that it's not for sure, even if he doesn't know for sure that it's not going to bleed, usually it doesn't bleed. So then brush your teeth, right? And we use a toothpick to clean up anything that might be lodged.
You could do that on Shabbat, to use the toothpick?
Yeah, for sure. You could use a toothpick on Shabbat to clean up between the teeth and also to brush the teeth. One could go ahead and do it.
We can also floss.
Also floss, yes,
Without cutting it off.
correct.
But if
All
you
right.
bleed when you floss, you shouldn't.
If you bleed, it's fine.
Why?
Because your intention is not to extract the blood.
I missed it.
That's what Rabbi said.
I missed that.
So I think just 1 minute quick Tisha B'Av halachot. Everybody knows Tisha B'Av, just fast. That's it. But achila and shetiyah, so it's night and day. And eating and drinking is asur. If a lady is pregnant, also she has to fast. But this year, being that it's pushed off, it becomes a little easier. And if the person doesn't feel like they are able to fast, then they could go ahead and at least drink a little bit, if they can. But if they need more, they need more. It's not like Yom Kippur that they say, oh, measure the food and eat teaspoon at a time. It's not like that, right? But if it's if need be, one could go ahead and start with the teaspoon thing, and then if there is a need to have more, then they could go ahead. If someone gave birth, so up to 7 days, it is asur for her to fast, right? After the 7th day up to the 30th day, then it becomes, then she's petura. Not that it's asur for her, she's exempt, right? She's exempt. That means if she feels very strong, then she could do it. Now, that's as far as eating. Washing, it is asur on Tisha B'Av. Even to stick your finger into the water for pleasure of washing, one should not do. But if there's dirt, like someone was walking and fell, and just dirt on their hands, that's not for pleasure. That's just for cleanliness, and one could go ahead and wash.
Soap too. Change diaper. If you get soap, you can wash or.
Yeah. That's that. You're not doing it for pleasure. If the hands are dirty, you gotta wash them up. If a person eats bread on Tisha B'Av, that they have to do regular netilat yadayim for the bread. That's that netilat yadayim for the mitzvah. It's not for pleasure, and one is allowed to do it. One who is cooking on Tisha B'Av and needs to wash the vegetables and the meat and whatever it is, they don't have to be careful. Oh, just the tip of your finger.
If you like the feeling of the water on your hands.
No, then we're
It's like hot.
wear gloves. Is one allowed to use deodorant on Tisha B'Av? Answer is yes. Right? It's not consists sicha, and it's not for pleasure. It's just to prevent bad odor. Wearing leather shoes. One is not allowed to wear leather shoes. If it's a sneaker, even though it's very comfortable and there's no leather in it, that is fine, right? And there are some shoes that look like leather but they're not leather. That's also fine. One could wear it and it's okay. Kids that are young, they are allowed to wear regular shoes, all right? But it's better to be mechanech them, to give them chinuch. This is something quite easy. They walk around with Crocs. There cannot be intimacy on Tisha B'Av, right? They cannot stay on the same bed, but they could pass things to one another, right? It is asur to learn Torah on Tisha B'Av because it brings joy and happiness, but a person could learn things that have to do with the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, Sefer Echa, Sefer Iyov, or different things, the person could say. I think we're overtime, right? So saying Tehillim, if a person always says it every day, like he has 5 perkim of Tehillim that says every day, don't do it on Tisha B'Av. Can't do it. But if it's someone who is sick and is doing it derech bakasha, tefillah for the sick person, that is allowed. Going to work on Tisha B'Av because it's a day of avelut, it's a day of mourning, and going to work will sway our mind from the avelut, from the ta'anit. A person should not do it. We try not to prepare things for after Tisha B'Av until the afternoon, like cooking and making all the food and everything, until after Chatzot, to do that. Now, and we don't say hello on Tisha B'Av, right? We don't say hello on Tisha B'Av. It's a day of mourning, and we don't say hello to each other. If a person comes and says hello, we say hi, like that. Good morning and good night is okay, but it's better to be machmir even for that. But the day of Tisha B'Av is not a day to take a walk, to go to the park, and to walk around, to go out. It's not a day for that. If someone's wife gave birth, can you say Mazel Tov to them?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. If a person, if there's a need, we could say Mazel Tov. Now we sit on the custom is we sit on the ground, on the floor, at night and during the day. Someone who has it's very hard for them, they could sit at least on a lower chair, right? So if they have a bad back or whatever it is, they sit on the lower chair. This goes until Chatzot, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock on Sunday, they could already sit regularly on the regular chair until around 1. In every tefillah that we pray on Tisha B'Av, we add the tefillah of Nachem. We say, תשכום בתוך ירושלים מרחק אשר דיברת וכסד אבי עבדך מהרה בתוכת אחרים ובנה אותה בניין עולם מהרה בימינו. Right before we say ברוך אתה השם בונה ירושלים, what do we say? We say נחם השם את אבלי ציון ואבלי ירושלים. Is a whole portion that we say at night, in the morning and in the afternoon, and the beracha is not ברוך אתה השם בונה ירושלים, we say ברוך אתה השם מנחם ציון בבניין ירושלים. When we do netilah until the end of our by our knuckles. Now Motzei Tisha B'Av, especially this year, everything is allowed. Everything. Eating meat, the laundry, washing, everything is allowed. But remember, before you eat, you have to make havdalah. The havdalah is only on a cup of grape juice or wine. Baruch atah Hashem bor pnei gefen. Baruch atah Hashem ha'avdir ben kodesh l'chol. That's it.
Music
No
is permitted
besamim.
too?
Music is permitted also. Alright, it should all turn into a Yom Tov Be'ezat Hashem.
Amen.
L'choli.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What